Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Relocation Guide YouTube channel. If we have not met, once again, my name is Adam Hancock. Today's video, I'm breaking down a community, a brand new community that's a resort style play that's in Weekley Chapel, Florida. So it's a suburb that's 25 miles north of Tampa. And this one's interesting, a lot of affordability and variety. So 25 plus floor plans, 6 separate neighborhoods, 4 separate builders, all the amenities you could want, some unique amenities on top of that, including a lazy river. And a really interesting intentional developer concept of trying to really maintain the charm of the particular county they're building in. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's kind of a deep level breakdown. So use the timestamps in the description box below. And of course, I have a bunch of ways that we can assist you with real estate and help out along the way at the end of this video, so I don't bore you now. So stick around for that or check out the description box below. Thank you again for checking this one out, and let's get started. Okay, what I'd like to do first with this video is kind of lay the land with a highlight reel or a high-level summary of sorts, so you can know exactly what Chapel Crossings is in a nutshell to gauge your interest of how far you even want to go with this whole thing. So concepts like this, especially in these kind of locations, these suburban locations, have been becoming very in vogue in the last couple of years, I would say, where it's just the idea of like simply most of what you need in life day to day, all in one master plan concept. It's a mix of variety and inclusivity, multiple neighborhoods and builders, because you might like the area, you might like the community as a whole, but you have different price points, different home type needs, size needs, level of the builder. So you can navigate one community across multiple options so you can satiate those needs in different ways. You have separate neighborhoods that are kind of doing their own thing throughout a master plan concept, but then they come together in creative ways for communal amenities, larger resort style pools, community centers. This one particularly has even cooler stuff that I haven't seen a lot, but just a lot of different ways to get out and socialize, but in different ways too, like outdoor recreation, traditional social environments. And then they throw in mixed-use commercial space in addition to that, so that we're getting to the all-in-one concept. Retail space, offices, restaurants and shops, and just a lot of reasons where you don't necessarily have to go 10 to 15 minutes or to town to kind of do those kind of things. And then there's a real big perk, in my opinion, of one developer kind of from the onset, master planning an entire vision. I would say especially like post 2010, where it's just a lot smarter. Things aren't built in a silo. Things are not disconnected. The streets, the way the amenities are built, the way typically phase 1 to like phase 4 of the building, which could take 8 to 10 years. It's a lot smarter because they know, in some semblance, they know everything that's going to happen in advance. And then this whole thing's built in an area called Weekley Chapel, Florida, which in essence is about 25 miles directly north of downtown Tampa, that huge metro in Tampa Bay. So true suburb, but probably the most popular direction new construction's going. And Weekley Chapel is built in grids. So it's kind of easy to understand once you get your head around the whole thing. It's north to south, north to south, the interstate runs, and then State Road 56 is really southern Weekley Chapel, and it runs east to west. And that's where a lot of the building was originally, Seven Oaks and Meadow Point and Wiregrass Mall. And then the one right above that is the one that's kind of real popping now. It's State Road 54, but it's the same concept. It's 4 or 5 miles north. You can get newer homes. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit cheaper because it's slightly further to town. But you have really this neighborhood's in a good spot. This is close to that Epperson Lagoon. You're 6 miles from the outdoor open air Wiregrass Mall. You're 8 miles from the Tampa Premium Outlets. You have an area called the Grove. So all that kind of cool stuff that's going on in this area in general, this sits right inside of. But then when you come back home, you also have all these other lifestyle things that are just built into Chapel Crossings alone. So I would say interesting overall. So what I want to do from here is I'm going to break down the builders even more. I'm going to talk about the neighborhoods, pricing, availability, where they currently stand. I'm going to also break down the amenities beyond that and tell you everything that's going on here. And then lastly, I'm going to tell you kind of, particularly in my opinion, who this may be a good fit for family and life model wise. So we're going to do that now. All right, now let's talk those neighborhoods and builders. So as I alluded to in the previous section, tons and tons of variety here. 4 separate home builders, new construction builders, are currently participating in the Chapel's Crossing venture. Across those 4, and these guys are all real staples of Southwest Florida real estate. They build, Lower Tampa, Sarasota, Naples, etc. Across those 4 builders, you're going to have about 6 separate neighborhoods to choose from, and they really span the whole spectrum. From townhomes to which are going to be, 4 plus a building and more long and lean, to paired villas. So villas are really close to a single family, just one other unit attached, and a lot of these are maintenance-free options. And then all the way to the regular single-family homes. And finally, as of the timing of when I currently filmed this video, you can technically get into Chapel Crossings at a price that is lower than $300,000. Then obviously, depending on the options you choose and the neighborhood and the builder, you could spend to $600,000+ depending on what you want. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. And now let's get into the builders themselves. Okay, the first builder I'd like to highlight on this list is called Weekley Homes. So if you're not super familiar with them, they build a lot in Southwest Florida, even more in Texas. I think technically that's where they're based out of, I believe. But they're building in Chapel Crossings in a section called Westbury. And this one's going to be only single family homes. So no townhomes, no villas. And they're going to roll it out like many of these neighborhoods do over multiple phases. So currently they sit in phase 1 with an estimated amount of homes available, about 55. So depending on when you catch them, it'll be 55. They don't roll them all out at once. But, my kind of guess is if they do multiple phases, depending on how many, so say it's more than 2, then you can easily get in the 150 to 200 home range when it's all said and done. So you should have a good amount of time to make a decision here if you're not quite ready, or you're ready now. So just food for thought there. Okay, so this one I think is going to be pretty interesting. So you have 5 total floor plans right now. That's it, and I'll explain if you haven't done this before how that works. The smallest house in here is planned to be 2,400 plus square feet, so pretty good size for the area. 2,400 to about 3,300 square feet, depending on what you end up with. Every single one of them starts at 4 bedrooms, and you get 3 bathrooms, maybe 4 bathrooms, depending on your choice. And then you could get here from 2 all the way up to a 4-car garage, which isn't super common, and they're going to probably be tandem. The 4 cars are going to be tandem. So depending on if you have multiple cars, it'll be that front to back. Or a lot of people in Florida use their homes, their garages for gyms, or you might lose your basement depending on where you're moving from, so storage as well. And then the starting plan starts at about $527,000 because these are going to be some of the bigger homes in the neighborhood. Now, it's going to be a mix of to-be-built homes and inventory homes. And I'll just give you a quick overview. So to-be-built is going to be your normal of where these aren't communities where you can buy land and hold it and decide what you want to do later. This is a pre-packaged idea where they just give you kind of an inventory list. So you go in and say there's 55 lots and you say, I would like this one lot's my favorite. And sometimes you could build all 5 floor plans on it. And sometimes maybe the lot depends on the floor plan because of the width of the home and all that kind of stuff. So then you say, I want this model and this lot. Say that works out. You have those 2 components. So the lot might have a premium on it because it's on a lake, might cost $20K. Base price of the home is $527. So you're at $547 now. And then the last component of signing a contract is structural upgrades, stuff they have to know in advance, permit related stuff, moves the footprint. Gourmet kitchen versus a regular, changes the footprint. Extended patio, etc., that kind of thing. So that kind of makes your contract, you sign, deposit, etc. And then like a month later, you'll do those design options. I want quartz counters instead of granite. It doesn't change the permit, so it can happen later. I want engineered hardwood instead of tile, etc. So that's kind of how that works. Now, inventory homes are basically David Weekley just did that in advance, and they kind of know what people want. They don't make it weird. They do the modern model home kind of stuff, white kitchens and all that kind of stuff, but they'll do it in advance. So the benefit to that is if you don't care that much, if they do a spec home, it's called inventory home, and a lot of times it'll finish earlier because they might have started it 4 months ago and now you're coming in versus starting from scratch. So that's kind of how Westbury is going to work with David Weekley. David Weekley as a builder themselves, I think I've technically actually built 3 personal homes with them. I would say they're like a big family company. So the one thing that stood out with them is, it's not a custom builder. They build really nice homes, but by no means would it be like a real high-end luxury builder necessarily. That's not their business model. So they're kind of in the middle of the pack as far as like a normal builder, and pretty affordable overall. But the experience about David Weekley was the big thing that stuck out to me. The way they treat the experience of the end-to-end build, which is a long process. It's very poised, it's very intentional, and very empathetic. So that's my takeaway with them if you're deciding amongst like apples for apples and like who to choose. A lot of times it's going to come down to the neighborhood, the lot, and the price point. But if the builder does matter for you in this neighborhood, I think David Weekley is an interesting one. Okay, the second builder I'd like to touch on is called Mattamy Homes. And Mattamy is currently going to be our largest on-site presence at all of Chapel Crossings at the moment because they're building 3 separate neighborhoods, just the one builder. So between David Weekley's Westbury neighborhood we just spoke about and Mattamy, you have 4 of our 6 total neighborhoods we're talking about. So this covers a lot. They really peacocked the whole end of the spectrum, end to end. So 3 separate neighborhoods change geography, 1, so give you another option there. Changes price point because of the sizes and the types. But the biggest thing is it changes really the type of the property type. So they have Timberdale at Chapel Crossings, Asbury at Chapel Crossings. These are the name of the neighborhoods. And then the newest one's called Twin Creeks. And the idea there is villas, single families, townhomes. So Timberdale is our first entry of the low maintenance villa concept to Chapel Crossings in this conversation thus far. So the idea with the villa is, like I mentioned, it's just attached to one. So the possible benefits and possible drawbacks, because I know a lot of people out of state, this is an abundant concept of like, why would you do this? And they're more used to townhomes than villas. But in Florida, what it does, it's got a low maintenance, low burden environment is really the biggest pros to it. Now there's affordability because of size, but that's what's the draw of why would you do it versus a single family? Because what you are is, with the current realm in the last couple of years, with the open floor plan concepts really becoming where smaller can feel bigger. You could go pretty small here, and 2 to 3 bedrooms. You get garages, because you're not like on an upper floor, and you're just attached to one person. So it's not like it's noisy like you live in an apartment or anything. But because your building is attached and your roof is attached, then you share maintenance. So a lot of times the fees cover, it's just a lower cost of ownership. The fees will cover because the burden can't be on a single owner because it's attached. It is shared technically. And then the bonus is, depending on the neighborhood you go to, then a lot of times even the exterior maintenance of the grounds and the grass is covered in the fees as well. That's a lot of the original draw to why you would choose a villa. So these ones, there's 3 floor plans on low maintenance villas in Timberdale, and they start in the mid $300,000 range, depending on when you catch them. Second one, Asbury at Chapel Crossings, is Mattamy's single family entry into the neighborhood. So single family homes only, a lot of floor plans, 9 total floor plans to choose from, and they really go the full bore. They have single families that start at the same price as villas and the same size, 1,500-ish square feet. They go all the way up to about 2,900 square feet on a price point that's going to compete with David Weekley's, where, you might like, that's where you start to differentiate. Nothing's really apples for apples. So you could say, okay, part of Mattamy Homes outfit and Westbury at David Weekley, part of Mattamy and David Weekley are similar sizes, similar price points. How would I choose it? Typically it's the style of the builder. It's the actual floor plan does matter a lot, but even the location of the neighborhood and how many homes and how it feels, that'll be your divide. But you should be able to really kind of draw comparisons here. So that's Asbury. And Asbury is going to, like I mentioned, 9 floor plans starting in the mid 300,000s. You're going to go all the way up to probably 600K plus here. And then Twin Creeks, not a ton of information, but Twin Creeks will be their entry into townhomes. Townhomes are going to be, a lot of times you can get a little bigger of space in a townhome than you can a villa, but they're going to be long and lean. And they're also going to be, typically townhomes are 4 to 8 units in a single building. So you could be on the end caps and have that, which is a benefit, or you could be in the middle, less windows on the sides and all that kind of thing. But that's what Mattamy Homes is going to be. And overall, just as a builder, I would say here, Mattamy again is that like they're in that like middle of the road kind of builder. A lot of times I think Mattamy technically is the largest private builder in all of North America. So food for thought there. But typically people, in my opinion, that choose Mattamy over something else, it's a lot about floor plan price and the location. And they're not necessarily romantic about the choices between the builders themselves. But I think this will be interesting overall just because the pure depth of what they're going to offer. All right, now on to the third builder, and our 5th neighborhood out of our total 6 is being put up by a builder called Mattamy Homes. And Mattamy Homes is building in a section in Chapel Crossings called Newberry. So they are probably the furthest along, I think, technically than anyone else in this conversation so far, being that they're actually, as of yesterday when I'm filming this, they have 5 total homes available in phase 2. So they're almost done with phase 2, about to launch phase 3. But we can glean a lot of what this is going to be and why it would matter to you based on what they've done so far. So here again, all single families and a lot of variety again. 9 total floor plans-ish being offered amongst the single families here. So I think just napkin math in my head amongst the Mattamy, David Weekley, and this community, if we just bought a single family, I think you're 22 plus floor plans to choose from. So it really starts to boil down to logistics and timing, maybe a particular floor plan or that one section of the neighborhood, but you're going to have a lot of comparables here when it comes to price and size. So across the 9 floor plans, in the first 2 phases so far, they've built 1,900 to about 3,500 square feet. So technically, if you had all the upgrades, this might be able to get the biggest possible home with MI here, but it's going to be pretty similar with the previous 2 builders as well. 3 to 5 bedrooms, 1 to 2 stories, multiple car garages. So same kind of conversation there. Uh, so the thing here is these are built on in 2 collections across 2 different widths of lots. So 40-foot lot and a 50-foot lot. And that's going to vary between the manor collection of floor plans and the estate collection. So what really matters there is depending on the size of the home and the orientation, that 10 feet of width actually is a bigger difference than it sounds like. So this is how the same size home built on 2 different widths, say it was the same exact orientation, how when you walk through the foyer into the living room, how the kitchen and the living room are oriented to each other. You know, if you build a pool, the back patio and the screen, they can only build it to the planes of the house. They can't go beyond it. So how wide the deck feels, how wide the pool can feel, because a lot of these are very similar depth. Depth is not your issue. It's how they orient the square footage. So say you're a narrower home with the same amount of bedrooms, you know, it might feel like it has to stack more. Dining room might have to be behind the kitchen, and the pool deck might have to be like long and lean, like it might just have to go like this and then out a little bit. So those are the subtleties of the 2 collections where if you're looking at, you're like, it looks similar in price and size, the difference lies in that conversation. So it's something to think about. But in phase 3, they'll be launching something very similar to what they've already done. They'll be launching more 40-foots and more 50-foots. The starting price will sit in the low 400Ks, depending on when you get it. And in 2023, you should have opportunity or if you bought now, in the back of phase 2, but you should have plenty of opportunity in phase 3 as well to compare against your other guys. So that would be Newberry by Mattamy Homes. Okay, and finally for our neighborhood section, we are on to our 6th and final option, and that is being put out by Centex Homes. So Centex is building in an area called Weekley Reserve at Chapel Crossings. And if you're not familiar with the builder themselves, they're owned by the parent company Pulte Homes, super large national builder, but they put out real estate products in a portfolio of different options. So they put out stuff through Pulte's parent company, like the name Pulte, but they also own DeVosta. So DeVosta is like a really amenity-ridden, typical kind of builder community, and they build all throughout Southwest Florida. They also own Del Webb, the 55 and up active adult living that a lot of people enjoy. Centex is typically on average, their most affordable, approachable entry into the market. So it usually offers a lot of price advantages. So here they're going, this is no different here. So here they're going townhomes only, and it's a relatively small collection, hence the name Reserve. But right now, as my understanding, the estimation is about 60 plus units available in totality, and they've already sold half of them. So if you're into a townhome and you're interested in this, they're going to put them out in 3 different building types. They're going to do buildings of 4, so you have 2 end units and 2 middle, buildings of 6, and buildings of 8. So if that matters to you, it's something to look at. 3 total floor plans to pick from, and they're 100% inventory. So it's more of a no frills turnkey approach. So they chose all the options and they're selling them at a certain price. So at least it's more uniform. You know what you're getting. And of those 30-ish plus units available that are left, your starting price sits around $280K. So this is the cheapest option on this entire list by probably $30,000 to $40,000 at this point. So that'd be something to really look at. You got to look at the fees and all that kind of stuff too, but something to really look at for affordability is Weekley Reserve by Centex Homes. Okay, and now that we have a rather thorough view of the neighborhoods and the builders, let's talk in the final part of this video. I want to touch on amenities, the lifestyle, and maybe even some differentiators of all the other options you could choose amongst new construction. Why would you choose this one? So first, the amenities. So here right off the bat, this is one where those 6 neighborhoods, they're not doing any amenities right now planned to be built inside the individual neighborhoods. So you're not going to go back with your 100 neighbors and have your own private pool, or your own neighborhood pool rather. These are all going to be communal. So all the neighborhoods will share this communal environment. Among that communal environment, there's a pretty nice spread overall in my opinion. So first you have a clubhouse. So no restaurant, but normal clubhouse. It's very beautiful from the renderings. And you'll have spaces that you could reserve for parties and get-togethers, spaces you could prep food, and there's an indoor-outdoor section. You'll have a fitness center built in here as well. Strength equipment, there'll be cardio equipment, there'll be room for exercise, group class kind of stuff as well. There's also a dog park built in here, so if you have pets, that's a nice option. And there is a resort style pool, of course, a lot of seating area, umbrellas for shade, and even they're doing a zero, they're calling it beach entry, but they're doing a 0 entry component, which if you have young kids is super nice. So a little bit less scary in those hectic kind of communal pool environments. But the one cool thing beyond those, I would say, rather normal amenities is they're actually building in a lazy river inside this individual community. I think that's kind of unique. Okay, and that point kind of rolls me to my final thought for this particular video. And I had mentioned at the beginning that, there's a lot of benefit, in my opinion, that a developer planning something from the onset that's not in a silo, there's a lot of perks to that because it's smarter and the way they piece it together just makes more sense. But on top of all of that, when they brand a new community, these developers brand a new community for an area, not only does their personal style of what they like go into that naturally, but also if done right, a lot of these developers will not completely throw out the charm that was originally in that town because a lot of these new communities, they go to areas where they're pretty old school because that's where the land's at. So this one's in Pasco County, and that was like a lot of open space, a lot of kind of farm looking land originally. So it starts being sold off. And these guys, as much as anything I've seen, so adamant on all their branding that they wanted to capture a modern spin on an old school Pasco County homestead kind of village. So in essence, what they wanted to do is they wanted to do multiple neighborhoods, but they wanted them to be close knit and offer variety, but in an approachable, accessible manner. They wanted the community to remain laid back and not get into this way too crazy hustle bustle area. They took their 425 acres and they put modern amenities in it because if you don't do that in 2023, a lot of the allure of people being in neighborhoods at all, they really want these amenities they're used to, but they didn't do a million different neighborhoods. There was only a few. And they even did stuff like the lazy river instead of a crystal lagoon. They're trying to use the mature landscaping. That was kind of the goal, is they didn't want to lose the charm. But again, it's nice to have some retail options and not have to go to town for everything and all that kind of thing, because people aren't that romantic about that stuff anymore. But I think at fruition, I think it could come conceptualizing that plan. And when you're looking at Chapel Crossings versus Bexley or Epperson or Seven Oaks resale or Meadow Point resale, and you're starting to compare, I think intentionality, when a lot of the builders are the same, starts to divide a little bit. And that would be my takeaway if I articulated that well enough about how I'd look at Chapel as what's the difference. Okay, my friends, that is a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for sticking it out to the end and working through all that detailed minutia. I just have a couple of brief housekeeping items if you can give me one more minute. All right, first off, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking. You can even subscribe to the particular playlist just to see the new home component of this series. Secondly, if we can assist you with any real estate needs, one, this particular neighborhood, we can be your buyer's agent for any of the building. It's at a free cost to you completely. So make sure you reach out before you connect with them. But also we're a full service real estate brokerage. It's called the Sunshine State Company. We have an unbelievable team. So if you resonate with these videos, like we have such a good team to assist you, but we can help you buy new construction, any community. It's completely free to you. Resale homes, we can help you sell a home, anything in between. So I don't want to mistake that we just do the YouTube thing. So please reach out. All of our contact information is right here. And lastly, the sunshinestateco.com right here, my website. We have free analytical tools. We're going to have so much there as far as searching new construction, navigating relocation. We have free guides and a newsletter that comes out on Fridays and much, much more. So lots of ways to get involved, but I just really appreciate you guys supporting the channel and watching. And if I can help you in any way, reach out. See you on the next video.